looking for an old soul. Where am I gonna go? I'm looking for an old soul. Does anybody know?
Welcome to another Ginger Prince production video about philosophy, pretty much, about the existence or non-existence of the soul. Now, the word soul is an outstandingly commonly used word for something that is so outstandingly unknown and undefined. Switch on a radio and you can be assured that you'll soon hear a song that refers to the soul in some way. And I'm not just talking about soul music. It permeates through our popular culture all over the world, so much so that I would dearly love to know these statistics of the amount of people who believe that humans, that themselves, have souls. I get the feeling there are quite a few people in the world who would readily admit that they believe in the soul, but I wager a hefty proportion of those people would not be able to adequately define or explain what a soul is. In addition, I imagine that they would also not be able to explain how it interacts with our earthly bodies, with our minds, and with our intentions. I find it staggering that such a thing of such unknown quality can be so widely accepted as a concept. And, more importantly, there seems to be absolutely no scientific evidence whatsoever for the existence of a soul. So during this video we're going to look at what evidence there is or isn't for a soul, how there are difficulties with whether a soul or how a soul interacts with the brain, with the human body, and really investigating and hopefully I'll show you how little we do know about the soul. So, why do we generally believe as a species in something that doesn't necessarily have much of a concrete evidential foundation? Part of the problem in answering this question comes in defining the term soul. What is a soul? Well, what is a soul? A soul can be many different things depending on where you live and what religion or beliefs you adhere to. To some, a soul is simply an interchangeable word for a form of spirit. To others, it entails much more. Without considering why almost all cultures believe in a soul to some degree and what this belief entails, it's important to note that most religions' notions of a soul, with notable exceptions, are entangled with the perceptions of life and death, and this is really key. The soul is commonly seen as the essence of human life, or a sort of sentient spirit that exists outside of the body. One reason that these types of ideas are so attractive to humans is because it seems to allow possibility that we can go on living after death. Throughout the ages, humans have been obsessed with death, and we have generally been afraid of it in one way or another. All our efforts and all our trials and tribulations could possibly amount to naught unless something existed that prolonged our essence beyond our deaths. Enter stage right, the soul. Now, the soul has a great quality of making us immortal, and that is why, in my most humble of opinions, it is such a universally popular concept. Without even bringing religion into it, you can see the benefits of humanity, or to humanity, in believing in the existence of a soul. It allows us the possibility to give purpose to our lives, beyond our daily drudgery. It comforts us when children and babies die without experiencing life as they should. It affords us justice when we see a person who so woefully treated in their lives, as we imagine them balancing out the unfair life they have had with the riches of an afterlife, and so on. But just because it's so attractive does not mean that it necessarily has to exist. Indeed, that is the very reason it might have been invented in the first place. I, for one, would love to have a soul. I would love to be assured that some part of me will exist eternally after I die, or get reincarnated into something else. But, alas, I've never been shown any kind of evidence, any kind of proof that such a thing exists. This is a power of faith that many people have, and this is a power of faith in a funny kind of way that I have in methodological naturalism. I have this faith because throughout my life, science and the natural laws of the universe have been adhered to my observations. It also seems to me that there have been a great many cases of things that were once inexplicable, now being explained through an increase in our knowledge and the improvements in science. In religions such as the Christian religion, souls receive judgment for that which is done in the earthly life of the person with the soul. God either punishes you or rewards you for the deeds that you do in your life, and this works as possibly the greatest, historically, consequentialist approach to behaviour management in the history of the world. If you steal a loaf of bread, you will burn in hell forever. Well, I guess I'll just go hungry, thanks. I remember visiting the cathedral in the French town of Albi, which contains a painting called The Painting of the Last Judgment, which originally covered more than 200 square meters. So the whole of one side of the cathedral. It's a marvellous piece of medieval propaganda that evokes a notion of the classic three-tier structure of heaven, earth, and hell. And I wonder how a non-literate French peasant would have felt walking into this magnificent building and being confronted with a painting bigger than their house, which pictures at the very top, out of reach and almost out of sight, heaven in all its beauty and purity. In the middle strata, earth stands with people going about their daily lives, and at eye level and right across the church is hell, people getting boiled alive, monsters of disgusting natures disemboweling and such like. It really is quite horrific. And this represents what will happen to your soul if you sin. Truly powerful stuff. It really is remarkable propaganda, and I urge anyone passing by that French town of Albi to visit it. Aside from being the vehicle with which to evaluate good behaviour, many people actually believe the soul is the locus, the place of existence of human will, so free will, the place where will originates, amongst other things. St. Augustine, one of the biggest early influences on Christian theology, stated that the soul was, quote, a special substance endowed with reason, adapted to rule the body. More modern Christian philosophers have elaborated, saying that souls have thoughts and can feel, that they can believe and commit purposeful actions. However, none can quite agree on exactly where they come from and how they pop into existence, and so there are several differing theories. Also, the Christian notion of the soul differs among the Christian family, although most believe that the soul is mortal, restored after death by resurrection. Whenever I discuss the notion of the soul with other friends or like-minded thinkers, there are varying ideas of what the soul is and what it does, and no one seems to come to some kind of consensus agreement. Some theories, which are reflected by most mainstream religious scholars, claim that the soul is a learning, sentient entity, and we'll look more into that in the second part of this video on the soul. Please look at part 2 and continue watching.
I got soul, but I'm not a soldier. I got soul, but I'm not a soldier. I got soul, but I'm not a soldier. I got soul, but I'm